Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we are entering the world of social skills, and I'm going to be talking about how to paraphrase someone effectively in conversations. Listening is hard, I get it. Especially nowadays where there's content firing from all these different cylinders. We're getting so much stimulus that it's hard to focus on a stream of thought for an extended period of time. I get it. Listening is hard. But we can make it easier if we are actively listening. And one of the ways that we actively listen to someone is to paraphrase them, where we get the gist of what they're saying and we put it into our own words. One of the first times I understood the power of paraphrasing was in a very embarrassing moment. I recall I had just gotten this new manager. His name was Prasad, and we were on this bridge call together. And thus far, Prasad hadn't done too much because he was this new hire for the company. And every now and then he would talk a little too much to showcase that he was doing something. So we're in this call, and there's roughly 15 people all on this particular call. And there's this gentleman named Neil who's explaining something in detail. And I'm just over here dozing off because this guy has been talking for some time. Eventually, as we're about to move on to the next topic, what happens is Prasad calls me out. Prasad's like, "Hey Arman, did you get all of that?" I was like, "Oh yeah, of course I got all of that." And then he's like, "Well, can you share what you understood from that?" And when he said that, that's when I was over here freaking out. The reason why was because there were so many different people on the call, and some of them were managers. I can't believe that Prasad is going out of his way to embarrass me like this. So out of nowhere, I start to recall certain key phrases that Neil was using, certain words. I was saying a lot of gibberish. And eventually, Neil was like, "That sounds about right." I thought, really? I mean, I was just over here BSing, but it worked. It worked. And that showed me that paraphrasing is rather easy, especially whenever we're getting some of the words that the other person said and we're putting it into our own words. Now, that entire call, it was not a waste of time because Prasad, when he forced me to paraphrase what Neil was saying, I realized that my subconscious mind was paying attention to what Neil was saying. And when he forced me to paraphrase like that, my conscious mind had to get activated and it had to go into my subconscious and extract what I heard. So a lot of the times we think we're not paying attention, but we really are. And when we are forcing ourselves to paraphrase, that's when we realize that we were paying attention. The way that we paraphrase is by, number one, understanding when to paraphrase. In this situation, Prasad called me out, so I had no choice in the matter. But a lot of the times, we are going to use our own judgment. We don't want to paraphrase small stuff. If the person says, "I woke up at 7 a.m., we don't want to be like, "Well, why did you wake up at 7 a.m.? Unless this person normally doesn't wake up that early. Now we want to pay attention because we may have a paraphrasing opportunity. That's what we want to look for with paraphrasing. A lot of the stuff that people say, it's meaningless. It's filler words. But every now and then, they're telling a story that means a lot. And if we already have difficulty listening to someone, and now we can engage, wait a minute, this could be a possible paraphrasing opportunity, then we automatically become more alert. After we find a moment like this, which seems significant, and by the way, this requires our own judgment, I highly recommend you listen to your body on this one, because every now and then our body can pick up when there's sudden changes in someone, sudden changes in their tonality, their facial expressions, an abrupt change in content. Our body will pick up on that, and boom, we got a paraphrasing opportunity. From there, we want to be very active. Whenever this person says something that we don't understand, we want to ask them. Whenever we are understanding what they're saying, we're moving our head. We're doing an acknowledgement. We are asking them to expand on certain topics that piques our curiosity. All this provides us an opportunity to paraphrase effectively. So after they tell you about a very complex moment from their childhood, and let's say they're coming to you for advice, before you give the advice, you say something like, wait, let me just make sure that we're on the same page. And then boom, you paraphrase it from your own understanding. Simply by getting their content and putting it from your own words, it forces you to get engaged in the conversation. So if you're someone that struggles with listening skills, do not be alarmed. Most people nowadays do struggle with listening skills. It's hard to concentrate. And whenever it's hard to concentrate, we don't want to be too passive. Every now and then, we want to be a little bit more active. And one of the best ways to be active is to paraphrase. Look for opportunities where the conversation seems to be taking on a new path. Lock into that moment and then engage with the other person. Ask them follow-up questions. Ask them to expand. And then once you have a lot of information, tap into your subconscious and put their words into your perspective and then articulate from your words. That is how you paraphrase. If you enjoyed today's talk, go on and drop that like for me right on below, and I will catch you on the next episode.